can't believe that this government is doing this and playing on my emotions. Or I can say, well, what's the opportunity?
And you from a different coast than me, but I know our mentality is the same.
Yeah.
We look at all black and okay, we all the same. Like,
nah. Yeah.
That's how we look. That's how we look at it.
We look at black as almost like it's an ethnic group.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. But when you get to the continent, it's a little different.
Yeah, that's how we have even Farrakhan. He's a Caribbean.
Hi guys, welcome to Kenganda. My name is Janita Maya and this is the Repat podcast. I'll let my guests tell you who they are.
All right, my name is Jay Cameron from Maximum Impact Travel, where we bridge the gap between Africa and the African diaspora.
Exciting.
Ooh, that's a good intro.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Master Gabs from the Allergic to Average channel, and we curate conversations and content that drives people to aspire to excellence in every day of their life.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
I can't top neither one of those because I've been drinking. O'Shea, Duke Jackson, Sacramento, California, African American.
Okay, lovely. So guys, watch this clip with us and react to it with us.
The instability of life, of power. Okay, it's just I don't even know why in the 20th century this country is still dealing with power issues. I just, for the life of me, I can't understand it. And it's just it gets out of hand. Sometimes you go the whole day with no lights, no AC. Why? You need a generator, love. Like, no ifs, no ands, no buts. You need a generator, period. Don't matter what's sick of it. In Ghana, men have no respect for their body parts. And I think it's really disrespectful because as a woman, I'm not allowed to do that. I'm considered filthy. I'm considered nasty. That's considered not ladylike. But at the same time, they can go ahead and whip their dick out with my 10-year-old daughter behind them and pee. It's disgusting and it's ghetto and it's trashy. I can't stand it. I can't stand it. Okay? So I'm gonna need Ghana to get some public bathrooms for the people. Okay? Extortion. You go to the post office, you're being extorted. You go to the passport office, you're being extorted. You go to the airport.
Okay, you had the lady. Gaz is already reacting, but for those who did hear clearly, she talked about the people peeing everywhere, the power instability, and the extortion in like public offices and whatnot. But I do want to hear what you guys have to say about what this lovely lady mentioned.
Jay?
And this clip. Let's go.
I mean, you the only one. You've been to Ghana before. You been to Ghana before?
Yeah.
I've never been.
Okay, so Jay, you.
Oh, so I'm on the hot seat.
Yeah,
I'm the one who's going.
Don't get canceled now.
I'm about to be the one that gets canceled.
Yeah.
Well, a couple of things to think about here. Mm-hmm. When we talk about the power instability, and anytime I go into a country or something's happening that I'm not particular fan of, I ask, why is it like that? When you begin to understand the history of these countries and the development process that they have gone through, or maybe they haven't gone through, it kind of explains why it's like that. So you could look at a country like South Africa, which is considered to be very developed, right, according to Western standards, but they have load shedding. So there are certain times of the day where they actually turn off the power in certain areas, I guess, to protect the power grid. Yeah. So in Ghana, you look at the infrastructure is really now trying to keep up with the population. And so now you have more population, you have more use on the system, and then that's when you have these power outages. But there's certain places where they don't have the power outages. And so when you go into the countries, and I think that
like what places do you think in Ghana that don't experience power outages? It's true here also in Uganda.
Okay, so they have power outages here too.
Yeah, but there's some places that don't have them as much as other places.
Well, the more affluent areas typically don't have the power outages.
Also, areas near the airport don't get power outages, like the city near the airport.
Okay.
Yeah, they're quite
and that's similar in Ghana as well.
Okay.
But the solution is the generator. And so that's what you find in when you're moving to a new country or new culture. It's always wise to kind of understand what the power grid is like. And it's not a secret that Ghana has power challenges.
Yeah.
That's pretty well known. And so, just kind of looking at that, for those who are considering moving to Ghana, you might experience a power outage depending on where you live. And a lot of times what people will do is they'll go to the most inexpensive area. And they'll say, okay, I can go to a spot and live here for 1,200 cedis for the whole year. So that's like roughly $100 for the whole year. Or some some price like that. And they say, oh, I'm doing good. I'm living large. And then the power goes out. And they're like, oh, I can't believe the power was going out. Well, you kind of get what you pay for. That's the reality. The water issue, they have a water issue in Ghana where the water may go out. And so you're kind of dealing with these things. But if you do your due diligence before you go and you understand what you're getting into, then you might not have that story. Or if you do have it, you're prepared for it and you know that this is something you could face.
Let me ask you a question. Obviously, I've seen your work before we even connected here, so I knew a little bit about you. And Ghana was your first African country, right?
Yes.
Okay, so how did you prepare yourself to enter into Ghana, not knowing anything about it, and prepping yourself with realistic expectations?
Well, that's a really good question. And my number one concern with going to Ghana was where I was going to stay. And so the tour guide that I had connected with, he was trying to put me at certain hotels that I knew I wasn't ready for. So I said, let me pick my hotels.
What do you mean wasn't ready for it? What do you mean by that?
I didn't know what I was getting into.
Okay.
So there were 3-star, there were certain things about the hotels that I'd never heard of the brand before. I didn't know anything about it. So I said, let me go with something that looks a little bit more familiar. And I was being honest with myself. I was culturally immature. I'd never been to the continent before. And I knew that if I was going to be successful, I needed to leave my American mindset in America. If I was going to go to this different country, this different culture, if I'm now expecting them to do it the way that I do it, I could be setting myself up for a disappointment. And that's what I see a lot of those of us who come from the West. We'll go to a country and we'll say, oh, they don't do it the way we do it. I can't believe how they're dirty, they're filthy, they're uncouth. I can't believe how it is. But really, that's just their culture. Or maybe they haven't had access to I don't even want to call it amenities. They just have a different culture. And so what I had to do was respect the culture I was going into and try to mitigate any issues on the front end by doing my research, looking at what other people had to say through some of the different trip websites. And I had a great time. My first time in Ghana, I didn't have any power issues. I stayed at a hotel. Now, when we went to Kumasi, I let him pick the hotel. And this hotel, I said, hey, bro, I said, that's not going to work. I said, nah, man. I said, I went to the bed was hard. There was no hot water in the shower. And these are culturally things from we need. Most of us need a little bit of warmth in the water.
Yeah. Yes, Black American for sure.
Yeah. So I said, and I sat down with him and I said, listen, if you're going to be serious about tourism, you need to address this. So I told him, I said, from here on out, I'm going to pick the hotels. And again, it went back to me doing a little bit of research and knowing that there could be some cultural differences, but I never went into the country looking down on the people and the systems. I just understood that it was different.
Yeah.
And that's just the way that it is. I mean, many of the countries have just received independence over the past 60 years.
Right.
So the water infrastructure might not be the same. The power grids might not be the same. Just the way the roads might not be the same. The buildings might not be the same. And not that they're better in the US, it's just that it's different. And so once I understood that, I can go to pretty much any country in the world and navigate it and manage my expectations because I've done my homework. And so I think, just kind of listening to the clip, maybe she didn't do the homework. Maybe she did, I don't know. But just listening to it and just kind of listening to the energy that was coming from it, it seems like she might not have done the homework. But again, she may have.
Yeah. Gabs, do you have something to say?
I mean, I think as Jay just said, my first reaction was, how much time did she take and how much effort did she put into understanding what was waiting for her before she made the decision to, did she move there? Did she pack up her life and her family to reside there? Or was she referring to an experience as a visitor? Yeah. I guess that's something that wasn't made very clear. Did it say before moving to Ghana or before going to Ghana in the caption of the video? Anyway, it doesn't really matter, right? The whole point is
before moving to Ghana.
Before moving to Ghana.
Yeah, that's what
So the whole point that Jay made was how much research did she do? And how well informed was she about what was waiting for her in terms of the specific area within the country where she was choosing to set up her life? Because load shedding is an issue that you can learn about before you arrive. And the need to have a solar inverter set up in your home or a standby generator and raise the money and save the money or plan financially to invest in that in the home that you're going to be staying in. When you're searching for real estate to rent, maybe you should think about searching for a home to live in where that's an included amenity in where you're going to reside, if you have that financial spending power to be able to do so.
Can I ask you a question though?
Yeah.
Do you think that a lot of the content creators, like YouTubers, are giving, those who have, moved to Africa, not just including Ghana, but, mostly, but let's say in Ghana, there's a lot of YouTubers, African Americans who are in the content, Jamaicans, move to Ghana and like, oh, it's so dope out here. It's the truth out here.
Yeah.
Come. And then they're the ones that are basically setting up some kind of, false expectations or reality.
Yeah.
Do you think that's what also it could be?
I do believe that could be part of the dynamic because I do see a lot of the attitude is let's celebrate and encourage and motivate people to want to make the move. And let's kind of downplay some of the uncomfortable aspects of what everyday life is inevitably going to hand you to encounter so that we can talk about the emotional aspect and the feel-good elements of being back amongst our people. The reconnection and the reestablishment of a oneness with a place that you may have been disconnected from generations before, or even if you're a repatriating African from the diaspora like myself, come home. Come back.
Right.
So there's an emotional element that is played up more than the exchange of factual, essential information. I question how much research that she did, but there's also kind of a problematic tone of voice that she was taking because you could definitely tell that she was unhappy about her life over there in terms of the experiences that she's had, making statements like men don't care about their bodies, right? Ghanaian men don't care about their bodies, their private parts. I highly doubt that if you take a poll of 100 Ghanaian men, you're going to find that the vast majority of them agree with the type of behavior that she was mentioning was displayed and that she took exception to. I don't know. I mean, I know some Ghanaian guys. Like I said, I've never been there on the ground to have that empirical information, but I don't think guys are going to be whipping their junk out in public places and doing all types of inappropriate.
I see it here a lot.
Yeah, to urinate, yes, but
that's what she meant. She was talking about that.
Yeah, but I'm talking about like where does she live? Is she in a village? You know what I mean? Is she in the ghetto? Is she in the hood?
They definitely pull their stuff out and taking it. I think she was talking about that. I mean, maybe I'm old now.
Yeah, no, that's what she's talking about. She talks about public
okay, then I'm
toilets
shocked
too.
by that.
Yeah, they definitely whip it out.
Definitely do that. And Uganda too.
They'll pull up on the side of the road and say, "Excuse me 1 second."
Let me
get out. I got to one moment, and they go to the back.
And they look at you like, "What you looking at, nigga?"
Yeah, I mean,
they like to say please.
I've seen that, but I don't know. I don't know. I guess maybe I'm just kind of given the benefit of the doubt.
Right.
In a way.
Well, you live in a nice neighborhood, so you ain't broke like me.
I do.
But
And
I always see.
I don't expose myself to those elements of society that are prone to such behavior. But
but I see it all the time over here.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. No, but seriously, I think her experience is valid, and her explanation of what disturbs her about all of that in terms of the culture that she has encountered is valid. These are valid warnings that other people are definitely going to want to listen to. The whole thing of extortion and being demanded to pay bribes at the passport office and this office and that office, that's universally applicable. Not universally, but that is widely applicable to several African countries, not just necessarily isolated to Ghana. But again, you as Jay said again, you can't go to a foreign country and expect them to play by the same rules that are applicable where you come from.
Okay.
Yeah.
When in Rome, do as the Romans do. When in Ghana, do as the Ghanaians do. You don't have to do all the bad things that the Ghanaians do that you find objectionable, but you have to understand the rules of engagement on the ground. And if you want to survive, there are certain things that you're going to have to do to make your life easier.
Yeah.
And if building something into your budget and your spending plan to facilitate, you know, a little bit of a handshake here and there is required, then get comfortable with it, because that's not something that's going to change by you complaining about it on TikTok.
That's a great point. Jay, let me ask you this, because again, you have the best doing business in Africa video I have ever seen. I look at that as the Bible.
I appreciate that. I thank you.
I thought I was good. I thought I wasn't shit that day when I saw your video. I was like, oh yeah, that's smart. That's true. So let's talk about the, you know, unfortunately, you know, we coming over to the continent, and a lot of us, because again, how we think as African Americans, and you from a different coast than me, but I know our mentality is the same.
Yeah.
We look at all black as, okay, we all the same. Like,
nah. Yeah.
That's how we look at it.
We look at black as a almost like it's an ethnic group.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. But when you get to the continent, it's a little different.
Yeah, that's how we have even Farrakhan. He's a Caribbean in the Nation of Islam. Nobody would ever say that Farrakhan, you know, now they might call that person a tether or whatever, right? But we grew up, we looking at Farrakhan as he's like one of us. Marcus Garvey, one of us. Yes. Thomas Sankara is one of us. Then you get to the continent, and you like, oh, you my brother, I'm glad to be here, you know, amongst you. And then you start getting hit with the extortion, and you start taking it personal. Mm-hmm. Again, I know we talk about that a lot on this channel. How did you personally, because you built a great business and you know how to navigate that.
Yes.
How did you not take it personal and be immature like I am? I'm petty.
Well,
it's a known fact. So,
well, the first thing, it caught me off guard at first.
Okay.
Starting to become culturally immersed into a system I did not understand. Okay, I knew to leave America in America, but I didn't understand if I was going to come do business on the continent. I couldn't change their rules. I had to learn how to, kind of to your point.
Right.
I learned, okay, now how am I going to fit into this if I want to be successful? I can complain all day long, but some of the behaviors are so entrenched, and it's just the way that it is.
It's not personal.
It's not personal. So I don't take anything personally now. It's like, oh, okay, now it's business.
Right.
So now my mindset shifts to say, okay, where can I leverage this? How do I fit into this equation? And what do I have? Well, I have resources.
Right.
And once I understood that, I have resources and I have opportunities.
Right.
So I can create opportunities for someone. If I create the right opportunities, then that's going to bring a level of loyalty just because it's the opportunity.
Right.
So now I'm no longer thinking, oh, I don't expect the red carpet to be rolled out for me because I'm coming back home. Mm-hmm. The emotion is gone. Mm-hmm. I'm like, the year of return and all of that, and I'm going to say it. It is a money grab. It is what it is. Mm-hmm. So I understand that. Mm-hmm. So now either I get offended by it, I can't believe that this government is doing this and playing on my emotions, or I can say, well, what's the opportunity?
Okay.
What's going on here?
Now, let me before you talk about the opportunity, because one thing I've noticed about you, we met last night before we came here, and now we old school. We ain't got to take no pictures and Instagram tag. I'm there. We was there having a good time. Yeah. And you are very, very shrewd guy, very intelligent, and you very opportunistic. Okay, you can see, and you have a very good vision for that. And some of our brothers and sisters, be it in the African diaspora, the African American community, may not know how to locate an opportunity, but you have done that very well. How do you know when something is an opportunity with your skill set that you can maximize?
Well, it depends on what you're looking for. That's going to be the first thing. And so I look for opportunities. When I come to the continent, I always look for stability. So I'll just give you an example. So when I'm going around and I say, okay, if there's a country that I want to invest in, or I want to find some, get some roots, I look at, I look for the military. Now that's interesting. I don't even look for the money, because the real currency of the world is your military capacity.
Right.
There's no African country that has the military capacity to defend itself against the imperial interests that are out here, the French, the British, the Dutch, the US, the Portuguese, the Spanish. So I look and I say, now, what imperial interest is backing this country? And that's how I can make a decision. So, for some people, they're going to like to hear this. For others, they're not. I looked at Ghana and I said, well, Ghana is backed by the US military. It has its own military, but where do they get their arms from? Where do these countries get their arms from?
Right.
That is who really calls the shots.
Right.
So I looked and I said, okay, the U.S. I said, my currency is U.S.
Right.
They speak English. I'm trying to look for the path of least resistance. If I'm dealing with a language barrier, that gets to be
right.
Where's the cultural influence?
Right.
So in Ghana, I see all of the celebrities from the U.S. I see where they're building. I'm looking at the cranes and I'm saying, wow, all these cranes are going up. I'm remembering D.C. in the 80s and 90s when you could buy a house on New York Avenue for $1. Now you can't buy a house on New York Avenue for less than $1 million.
Yep.
So I'm looking at a pattern that's happening again. And I'm seeing this happen. I see it happen in South Africa. I'm seeing it happen in East Africa. And I said, you know what? There's money being pumped into this part of the world. My investment is going to be protected because you have so many people from this particular imperial interest of the U.S. who are putting their money into this part of the world. I don't want to risk my money and lose money just because I'm feeling emotional. Now I'm looking at it from like, okay, I missed out on D.C. because I didn't have the vision or understanding of economics and business.
We all missed out on a lot of opportunities.
We missed out because
El Paso Heights was one. Where I'm from is a whole bunch.
You see, so you understand. I said, well, I'm not going to miss out this time.
Right.
And so that's how I look at an opportunity. I look at it in the East. Tanzania just happens to be where I have my base in the East. And I'm looking at that. You know, they're doing a lot of development in Zanzibar. And I also recognize, well, who's protecting Tanzania? Well, the British. You know, so when this is where it all comes down. You know, if you look at Francophone countries, I wouldn't necessarily go someplace right now. I wouldn't go to Mali, Niger, or Burkina Faso because there's the economic instability.
Right.
So that's how I gauge it. I look at the military capacity before I look at anything else.
Okay, now let me kind of take you back. I know I interrupted you, but back to, you know, like I said, now you know you're dealing with a person that you need for some, maybe what we would consider corruption, but now you're going to bring the opportunity to them to build loyalty. Now, even though it might not be the right thing to do, you know, but it's how it works, right?
That's how it works.
Okay, so then how do you take for somebody like that who is trying to basically extort you and make that person an ally?
Well, it's no different in the U.S. I mean, the greatest extortion in the U.S. is the U.S. tax system.
Yeah.
So you got sales tax, property tax, income tax, every kind of tax you can think of. You know, we voluntarily do it, or maybe not. But we do it because that's the way the system is set up. But you don't have that necessarily in the countries here on the continent, or some of the countries on the continent. So you look and you say, okay, what do I need in order to get this done?
Okay.
How do you all play the game here? Well, so-and-so, you know, we'll put you in front of the meeting with so-and-so, and this is what this person needs in order to make it happen. And so then to your point, you have to determine, am I willing to do this? And it's not illegal.
Right.
It's just something, well, they need a tip. That's how they see it.
Okay.
You know, you go to, when you're coming through passport control at the airport, and they'll look at your passport. Hey, do you have anything for me? Do you have any lunch for me? I said, no, I don't have anything for you today. And they'll look at me and I said, no, today I don't have anything for you, because I don't have to play that particular game. But there are times when if you want to move some paperwork through faster.
Oh yeah.
You just got to say, well, what? I need 100 extra C's to move it through faster. All right. Well, this is what it is.
Because Nigeria definitely play Murtala Muhammad Airport. Rachel tell you, they play that game. They get everybody in Nigeria. Like, every way, man, you can spend like $100 if you're not smart.
Oh, yeah.
On the way out. They get you at every stop.
Absolutely. See, okay, I look at it like this. I see Asians, I see Lebanese, I see European, I see all of these people
doing it
all over the continent, living their best life, living in multi-million-dollar houses, condominiums. They're not in their feelings. And if they are, they quickly get over their feelings.
Right.
They get in there and they say, well, you know what? This is business.
Right.
Okay, this is how y'all play the game. Okay, cool. Everybody wants a piece of the pie.
Right.
They recognize, they're business people. They can look and say, well, you have resources. I'm sitting here, the government's paying me nothing.
Right.
That's why the police will come and extort you in different countries, because what are they getting paid?
There you go.
I mean, they're getting paid, but I think some of these places are getting paid 1,000 CDs a month.
That's like $65, $75
a month. So
what do you expect?
What do you expect? What would I do if I were in that position? So I said, let me flip the script.
Yeah.
I would be extorting too. I say, hey, I have a little bit of power. I can leverage this right now. I'm not going to let you go until I can waste your time. So once I understand that, there's sometimes I'm like, hey, no problem. You know what? I count it. I say,
count as a loss. Build it to your budget.
I don't even count it as a loss. You know, sometimes I look at it like, well,
it's an investment.
This is an investment.
Okay.
And look at the return that I'm getting.
Right.
Yeah.
In comparison to what's 50 CDs.
Would you agree that a lot of the conversations that you have with people in a position who are wanting something from you, let's call it something extra from you, above and beyond what would ordinarily be required to pass the paperwork through, would you agree that there needs to be a skill set that you possess in terms of understanding human psychology?
Absolutely.
When you're communicating a value proposition to them, knowing that, let's say, for example, this person is in a position that they're going to be in for a long time. They're a government employee and they're in a position to issue you licenses and things of that nature where you're going to have a recurring relationship with them.
Yes.
So in that particular case, you may want to emphasize how helping me win helps you win over the long term.
Yes.
As opposed to somebody who you're going to see as a one-off because they're one of 20 different people who play that role within the structure of the organization. And he could be the guy at the airport who's stamping your passport at immigration. It could be one of 50 people doing that. As opposed to that one person who's specialized in their role or that skill set. So the psychology of dealing with that person who's simply asking you for $50 extra to stamp your passport as opposed to waiting in line for a long time, right? I'm paying you $50 just so that I can not have to wait in line for 3 hours.
Right.
That's it.
And once I get by you, I won't see you ever again in my life. So this is just me paying a premium for that level of convenience, as opposed to saying, yo, my guy, I need this license and I'm planning on doing serious business for a long time in this country. And as long as you're in this position, we have an opportunity to win together. So you're going to unlock this door for me and that door for me. And every time I come back to you, we're going to have a conversation and know that when I win, you win. Period.
That is exactly how it is.
Yeah.
And some people may find that unethical.
Yep.
You know, from the West, and they say, "Oh, I can't believe it." But it happens in the West. So it speaks to some folks' level of naivete when you don't think that's happening in the U.S. They just guise it differently. You know, the kickbacks come one way, or you hear about it all the time. The politicians getting the kickback. They got this contract over here, and that happens over there. But when you go to like the office and you talk to the person in the office, and again, they're not getting paid anything. And now when you start putting the time value on what you need to get done, they can become passive aggressive. And now you have to wait 3 months.
There you go.
You could drop a few CDs in there, or a few shillings, or a few dollars, or rands, or whatever. And next thing you know, tomorrow you come back and you move on your way. Now, how much money do you save by doing it? And then you say the relationship. If you're doing business, again, for some people it's unethical. It may be against the different rules or whatever. And I'm not. Let me say this: I'm not telling someone to do it.
Right.
But just say it's just something to think about if you're going to be doing business in these countries and not taking it personally. That's the thing. You know, I can't believe they're overcharging me. I can't believe they're doing this or that or the other. Flip the script and put yourself in their position. Wouldn't you shoot your shot? That's what I do. I say, if I'm sitting there in this heat all day and I'm making, whatever I'm making, and I hear somebody's accent, and all I know is what those satellite dishes tell me on top of my, coming into that TV, and that these people are supposedly rich, they're superstars, they're all LeBron James and Will Smith and everybody else, then I'm going to say, well, I need to shoot my shot. Let me see. They don't know that I might charge someone locally, the equivalent of $2, but I'm going to try to get 20.
Right, I got you.
Because that might be my 20 that I get for the whole week.
Right.
And it's just the way that it is.
And they got to take care of their family and, whatever else,
But the reason why I'm successful, because I take care of my folks.
Right.
So I make it a win-win because I look at it and I say to myself, I said, well, in some of these countries, people are making $200 to $300 per month. And something that I pride myself on with my company is elevating people's economic positions to do whatever they want to do.
Right.
So I don't tell them, well, you need to live like this or live like I stay out of that. I create the opportunity through the tourism space to say, listen, when you come over here, we're going to create an experience for you, and the people are taken care of. So what you don't have is people complaining, working with us, saying that, oh, we don't make enough money or anything. They're people finishing their degrees, they're building homes, they're buying cars, they're establishing themselves the way they want to. I don't try to Americanize them. You need to do it like how we do it in America because it's better. It's like, here, all we have is resources.
Yeah.
Stolen resources at that, but that's a whole nother conversation. All I'm doing is bringing some of that back. And that's where the loyalty comes from. Now, have I dealt with some foolishness? Absolutely.
Yes.
Have I dealt with some thieves in the temple? Absolutely. Have I dealt with some crooks and corruption and con artists and scammers? I've dealt with all of that.
Talk about it, Pastor.
And so it's one of those things where if you don't have a thick skin, now you're running back. You know, we complain about Babylon, as they say, or the racism in America. I got to leave America. I got to get out of here. And I'm going over to greener pastures, and we romanticize the continent.
There you go.
Yeah.
Then we get over here.
There you go.
And we find out, wait a minute. Well, really, the people on the continent are dealing with much of the same things that we were dealing with, just a different way. Colonization, colonialism, all of that is just another form of extraction of resources without proper compensation.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's so many layers to it, but if someone is serious, they can find a beautiful life.
Right.
If they're willing to put the time into learning and they're willing to come in and appreciate the cultures and not try to, like what I was hearing from the young lady in the video, I'm sensitive to respecting her opinion and her feelings.
Right.
But at the same time, if you listen to that tone,
the tonality,
that tone could come across like, I can't believe y'all are doing it like this, and I can't believe
like y'all that dusty.
Yeah, y'all ghetto, and it's that and other.
You guys smell bad.
And my thing is, well, go back home.
Right.
Go back to the U.S.
Yeah.
If it's that bad, Ghana, go back to the U.S. because there's something in the U.S. that caused you to leave.
There you go.
So go back to whatever that was, because clearly, but it doesn't sound like she left yet.
No, she's still there.
So I'd be curious.
She seemed like she's a 10-year-old daughter. I mean, I'm pretty sure she's a single mom. I could probably almost guarantee ain't no husband there. So, but let me ask Joan.
Yeah.
You went from Uganda to Ghana.
Yeah.
I mean, you rich now. Give her a round of applause. So how are you treated? Like, when you were an African, coming from one part of the Anglophone world to another part in West Africa, did you get hit with those bribes and things like that?
Yeah. Well, I will say one thing. The ticket is not cheap. Actually, moving from Uganda to Ghana is quite expensive.
How much
it's really expensive. I'll tell you afterwards. But it's really
No,
expensive.
you're not.
At the time that I left, it was really expensive. I looked at the ticket price and I was like, yeah. But I think when I got there, the passport, going through the passport immigration was quite easy because I had my Ugandan passport and whatnot. But the extortion came from the toilet. You know, the people positioned in the toilet to, like, I don't know, I guess assist you or clean up or something like that. She was really helpful. I was just like, oh, these guys are really nice. So I thought, oh, wow. I felt special. I don't know. She was really nice to me. I'm like, oh, thank you so much. She's like, yeah. It's like, are you leaving me with something? I'm like, what do you mean leaving you with something? Because I didn't expect that from her. Just thought she was being nice. I didn't have any money on me. I didn't have any CDs. I just had dollars that I was not going to give to her. But I didn't expect her to try and get money from me. But she was doing it in such a nice way. If I had the money, honestly, I would have given it to her because she was so helpful to me anyway, because it was a long flight and whatnot. But
who did you fight? Did you fight Ethiopian?
No, KQ, Kenya Airways.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. It was good. But after that, when you're trying to get out, apparently, so there's another section where you get out free, and then there's like a tax section. I don't know if you guys... I've
never been to Ghana before.
Yeah, but so the guy at the tax section had to stop me, and then I said, "Why are you checking me?" Because apparently he was checking for drugs or something like that. So I asked him what was so special about me that you had to check me, because I wanted to find out maybe I look like a drug dealer, and I have no idea. He was just like, "No, it's just routine." Then after that, he also asked for something. He checked my suitcase and he asked for something, but I said, "I don't have any money to give you," and whatnot. But yeah, I will say the extortion part. Okay, there's extortion everywhere, and I don't want to be here and be naive and think like there's no extortion in Uganda, but there's extortion everywhere. So that was what I experienced at the airport. And then when you get out there, I mean, it looks amazing. The areas around the airport are amazing. So there are guys on the roads filling up the potholes. Then they come and ask you for money. That's something I'd never seen before because the potholes here are left and tampered with. But over there, so it's just like he fills the pothole up with like soil or something.
Yeah.
So he's asking you for money. It's like, I've cleared the road for you. Give me something. Give me something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that. It was a bit, I was just like, okay. But other than that, I would just like to say to the lady, I want to sound off on what Jay said. I feel like so many of the people who move to African countries want to Americanize everything. From the outside looking in, it feels like you left America because of white people. Let me just be honest. You left America because of white people, but you'd love to take America with you where you're going.
Right.
So when they experience certain things like this, it kind of sets them back and it actually disappoints them. Like you said, feelings are involved. People are disappointed. They're very, that it's not what they expected. Like her tone, I give her maximum a few more months and she'll leave that place because the way she was sounding, she was just so over it and she couldn't handle it. But there's so many people like that. And like Gab said, if you don't make your research to going to a certain place, then you'll obviously be disappointed. But yeah, when you go to a certain place, just learn the culture, try to integrate yourself in the system. I have no issue with like giving sodas here and there. I'm so sorry I'm saying this. Soda to us is a bribe for those who don't know. Because like if you need to get things along, then you do what you do. But overall in Accra, apart from the extortion bits at the airport, people are really nice to me. I mean, I felt special. I don't know, I keep saying this every country I go to. But like they treated me well. They were nice to me. Other than that, it was a beautiful city. Yeah. But they also have a power issue just like Nigeria does. So I guess it's because like Uganda, the power does go out, but not as often.
Uganda power
as
is way
West
better than Nigeria.
African countries. Yeah. So I think there's a general problem over there. If the power goes off, just get off your phone and maybe try to talk to some people and enjoy the country.
Now, I was just going to say that as much time as I've spent in Ghana, the power has not been, it's happened a few times,
Right.
but it's not something that I've been like, oh man, this power is down.
Right,
I can't,
right.
I can't function. I can't.
Yeah.
But I think it goes to what she said about the area you're in.
Absolutely.
Because if you move away from Accra, when you're going to like the eastern side, they do have the power issue. But if you're closer to the city, it's not there.
Yeah, I agree. And that's the thing. I typically stay places where I'm not going to run into that problem as much.
Yeah.
Now, granted, I've been in the hotels before and the power goes out, the generator kicks in. And like you were saying, knowing where those generators are and knowing the amenities that come with if you're renting a place or buying a place, knowing, okay, this is a potential issue, so let me stay someplace where I might not have that much of a problem because they have a system in place.
Yeah.
Water, whether it's the backup tanks, they have the big tanks, and then they have a generator. You pretty much navigate it.
Let me just add one thing. I've learned so much from this podcast, but there's a guy that is very instrumental in the success of our business that charges me $150 more per item than the market rate. And I know it. Okay? I know it. For sure. And the guy talks to you like, hey, how are you, bro? Is everything okay? But you know what? Hey, he does a good job. We're still making money. Fuck it. Give it to him. I used to always have that attitude. But now, whatever we got to do, I even talked to Agaba what should we do? Just give it to him. Just let's move it forward this way. Just move it forward this way. In the long run, we're getting there faster. And again, that takes a lot of patience. Shout out to Agaba and my staff and, people that, hey, this is not how things go. I mean, like I had one situation where we had did something really nice for an international brand. I spent a lot of money, this brand to come out and we did some nice things for them. And the brand didn't respond in the way I thought they should. Says, you need to call that lady back or that individual back and take that person out to dinner and wow them. I'm like, are you fucking crazy? Like, I've already wowed them. He goes, yeah, that's what you think. But I understand what you're saying. That you did. But call that person and take that person out to dinner. And I had to wrap my head around it. I called a few people like, yo, man, like, what, does this make sense? It was Julius. I called Julius. Julius Giles. He's like, it doesn't really make sense, but yo, man, but the guy said you need to do that, so you should do it. And for us, it doesn't have to make sense all the time for us. And that's the thing that we have a hard time wrapping our mind around, is that we come from a place where business, for the most part, in our private sector, because we don't really get involved in so much corruption like in the bigger levels, but businesses, for us in small business, we have to give value for our customers. We have to be able to be accountable for our customers. That's how we build our brands. And, in America, if you're not good, people going to tell everybody.
That's right.
So when you come to Africa, at least you should, you're kind of, running on those same, tenets in the business or whatever. But that's not necessarily true all the time here. So you think that I'm doing a good job or I'm doing whatever, and that might be the case. But, the economy, there's some people that have a tight, depending on what it is, a tight hold on it.
Yeah.
And they, they can even open up heaven or hell for you, if, heaven and earth rather, for you. And so we get personal. I take it personal. But again, is how do you get that person to say yes is what your goal is. And that's what my focus should be, instead of me feeling like, fuck that person.
And you may think that internally for sure. I mean, I'm sure I've
actually said it. I mean, it's not just how I feel. I'm very brutal.
Yeah.
I paid the cost for it too. You know what I mean? So,
what's interesting is you avoid the instinct to take it personal when you receive a no, but oftentimes in order to yes, you have to make it personal. And that's kind of the point that I was emphasizing when I was telling you about having to take that lady out for dinner. It's not necessarily about repeating the notion that, look at what I've done. Are you smart enough to understand the merit and the value in what I've done?
Right.
It's about investing time in having that relationship with that person.
There you go.
You know what I mean? Because, in the US and in many other countries, business decisions are just made simply off of merit. If it's the right price, the right product, or the right service, and it can be done on time, efficiently, and within budget, say yes, do it, done. Here, a lot of the time, it's about, how do I feel about the person who's offering that service? Even if you're the best candidate, if I don't mess with you like that, I'm going to choose the person who's 5 points lower than you on the scorecard just because I prefer them.
Right.
As an individual.
Right.
And again, there's that quid pro quo element. There's that win-win element. There's that, I need to know that O'Shea is as invested in helping me get ahead as he wants me to be in helping him get ahead. So there's so many levels and nuances to this, depending on the industry that you're in, depending on the nature of business that you're trying to do. Sometimes the businesses that we do are relationship based, and you're coming back time and time again for continued engagement, and you're helping somebody grow. Like Jay, is in the case of the business that you're doing, you're investing in the livelihood of the business partners that you have, and as they grow, the capacity for you guys to do better business enhances or increases. In other aspects, you're just doing business with somebody. They have a product to sell. I have the money to buy it. It's a transactional thing.
Right.
And there could be a frequency of how many times I'm buying said product from them. It's just an exchange of cash for goods. So, depending on the relationship that you have, the nature of the business that you're in, there's so many nuances to it. I just think the smartest advice that you're giving people right now is, number one, study, learn, research, do your best to know where you're going before you get there. And that will give you kind of the peace of mind and the patience to learn how things are that are surprises to you when you get there. You know what I mean? If you've educated yourself properly before you go, you won't be shocked by as many things. So you have the capacity to absorb more surprises than you would if you're just fresh off the boat, fresh off the flight, and you're like, yo, everything's coming at you at 100 miles an hour.
Right.
But man, I commend you for, again, just kind of being a thought leader in this space, because I've come here and I've made my own ventures into business here. But one of the things that I am continuing to strive and learn how to do is be somebody who rallies people behind my cause. You know what I mean? I'm a much better communicator than negotiator.
Okay.
Right? I can share a message and I can communicate a message directly and make sure you understand what I'm saying. But in terms of creating that mutually beneficial value proposition, that on my table of skills is not as strong as my ability to share information. Mm-hmm. But I'm getting there. And I'm quickly rising, I'm quickly climbing in terms of being able to master that skill. So I commend you so much for having done what you've done. You said you did your first Ghana trip in 2021?
No, my first visit to Ghana?
No, rather your first organized business.
We did one in 2019.
2019.
And then the pandemic came.
And then COVID hit.
And then 2021 is when we came back full throttle. June of 2021 is when that's when we mark our official full-time with the travel. But everything you're saying is correct, because the reason why we've been so successful so quickly is because of the relational component.
Yeah.
Because people do tours every day.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing that I'm adamant about is making sure that both sides are taken care of.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So whether it's someone who's making the investment to come on the trip, whether it's a travel partner that we work with, or my team on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm in Uganda right now, but we have folks in South Africa.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not in South Africa. I was in Tanzania last week with a group, while another group was in Kenya and Seychelles.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll have overlapping. I'll be in Egypt in a couple of days with a group, but then right after that, I'm going to Scout Cuba. But then coming up in the fall, we'll have groups in South Africa and Ghana concurrently. Mm-hmm. I can't do that if I don't have a relationship with people to where they trust me and I trust them.
Yeah. Right.
And I think that when we move out of the hustle mentality,
Right.
I'm just trying to make this money, I gotta, and move away from the scarcity mentality.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Now we can actually build something.
Right.
And that's what I'm seeing. And I make sure my folks are taken care of. I look for ways to make sure, if their vehicle breaks down, what do you need to get that taken care of? Mm-hmm. What is the average that someone is making here? And then we'll quadruple it. Mm-hmm. Because we want them to be comfortable. I don't want you to have to worry. I don't want you to see all of these people coming in. I don't want to be another colonizer. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I don't want, all of these people are coming in. They see the price point. Mm-hmm. So they know what's coming in, but yet they're still making nothing.
Right.
What does that do for the morale?
Yeah. You get more in cases of stealing, you know what I mean?
Stealing or
people don't want you to win.
Or messing up your brand.
Sabotaging your purpose.
They'll come in and say, they'll do little passive aggressive things, show up late intentionally. Mm-hmm. Just do little things that you just kind of stop and say, and so when you stop, like right now we have this one young lady, she heads up our East Africa, but now she's so good, she's now doing South Africa. Mm-hmm. So where she was making little to nothing per month when she was working at the hotel, now she's 10 times what she was making at the hotel. Because she's going and she's learning. And so at every turn, I look to reward people. What something I heard someone say years ago, what you reward gets repeated. I don't need the whole pie. If I'm going to eat the whole pie, that's greedy. But sometimes the reward is watching someone else to be able to provide for their family and provide for themselves. Right. And then they're like, well, wait a minute, I can do this. And then they do better work.
Yep.
And it's not even work for them. Right. Now they're having experiences. This young lady I'm telling you about now, she had never been on a plane before working with us. And so I said, hey, would you mind going to scout Mauritius and Madagascar and Zanzibar? She said, I've never been on a plane before. I've never done this. I said, I think you can do it. I said, go for it. We'll make sure you're taken care of. So she went Ethiopia, Kenya, Mauritius, Madagascar. She's getting ready to go to Kenya and Seychelles.
Is she Ghanaian?
No, she's Tanzanian.
Okay.
So she's Tanzanian. So she heads up East Africa now. In Ghana, we have a whole team of people, never been on planes before, but now they've traveled. They can afford to go on vacations. They're come out to the East. They've been to Egypt, South Africa. That's what we do. Right. And that's what makes the difference. And I think that I would have never known that first time coming to the continent. If I allowed the extortionists, the hustles, the overcharging for me to get in my feelings.
Right. Yeah.
And now I'm running back to the US because I'm in my feelings. Right. Yeah. It's like, okay, that's how you gotta do it. Well, I'm still looking at the Chinese own the shops. I'm looking at the Lebanese own the buildings. I'm still seeing Halliburton out on the west side of Ghana. I'm saying, now, wait a minute. Y'all got your military here and you got the good old boys here too.
And them big companies is paying more than what we paying.
Yes. And I'm looking and I'm saying, y'all are here. For whatever reason, I'm finding myself running back to the American plantation because it feels comfortable.
Right.
Because now I'm out of my comfort zone, and here I am complaining about, oh, they don't do this and they don't do that. Yeah, now you know. So now, how is it that the Lebanese can have generations in Ghana and be unapologetic about it?
Not only in Ghana, Ivory Coast.
Oh yeah, all throughout the West.
Yeah, all throughout the West, Nigeria. Yeah,
and talk trash to the people, and talk trash to the locals, and treat them poorly, and pay them nothing, and really talk to them like that.
Liberia.
Yeah, and I'm looking at this, and I'm saying, I go and I see the Lebanese, and they try to talk trash to me. That's when that DC hood comes out on. Oh yeah, like, oh nah, we don't roll like that.
They better not do that.
Oh no, they found out the hard way. You know, so, but you learn from that, and I'm so glad that I did not allow my cultural immaturity to run me back to the plantation.
Yeah.
Because I've done more outside of the plantation than I could have ever done on the plantation.
Yep.
Because there are, now don't get me wrong, there are lots of opportunities in the U.S.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But there are also lots of opportunities as a global entrepreneur. And for me, my lane just happens to be larger from an international perspective.
Right.
But I now appreciate the cultures. Now I don't like seeing the guys whip out their thing and pee on the side of the road. That's not my thing. I've seen a whole busload of boys standing outside the bus.
And it's also not my business either.
It's not. And I say, you know what? They're standing out there. All the little boys standing out there, you know.
That's crazy.
Oh yeah.
Where was that?
That happens.
They haven't got it.
Oh,
They had a whole busload of boys and they were driving by, and they were just all out there. So
you don't care.
But that, you know what I said? I know.
I mean, you're rich, man. You live in a nice neighborhood. You ain't in a ghetto like this. So
yeah. So you know, it's you learn and you appreciate it. I'm glad you had a good experience in Ghana. Everything that you articulated is very accurate. The people are so kind.
Very much.
You know, it is.
Everything is please.
Thank you, please. And once you get there, you love the culture. You just, it's like now when I'm in Uganda, everybody's been so nice. I'm not looking for things that are wrong. I'm not. My eye is not here to that's wrong and this is bad and see this over here. And I'm not going to. I'll tell you the truth about the challenges. Yeah, I'm not going to water it down and romanticize it for you and then lure you to your point, lure you into a situation. Now everybody sees. Oh, everybody, all the celebrities and social media folks are going to Ghana and they found paradise. It's like you can find. It's a very nice place, but just best believe, get ready. Get ready to grow up. That's what I say. Get ready to grow up.
Before we end, let me just say this.
I like that.
As far as like a lot of the YouTubers and social media content creators that romanticize for their own personal benefit, you know, that unfortunately happens. And I think that people that watch our podcast, the Repat podcast, in which we want to bring these conversations to life, it's really tough. This is a tough journey. It is. I don't care how much money you got.
Yeah.
One of the few places in the world you can have a lot of money and can't make anything happen. That has been my opinion.
Yes.
I mean, you know, when you can be here making a lot of money and doing very well, and you still have a hard time making things flow. And things do move slow, and they can move slow. Depending on who you know, who you're associated with. However, the opportunity is in the fact, like I interviewed a brother from Malawi. He says, telling the truth in Africa is a superpower. Paying on time is a superpower. And the things that you're used to doing in the States, that's just normal. If you can just do those things here, it's a superpower for anyone. I mean, African diaspora or African American or somebody that Ugandan diaspora, Kenyan diaspora. You have like Nigerians going throughout the continent doing very good in business. If you can just be, you're going to have troubles, but if you can somehow reinvest into what you're doing, you have some ability to train, you have some ability to incentivize. And you have patience. It's very hard to fail on the continent of Africa.
Agreed.
With those four, those four characteristics in your credo of your business. And it's not going to be easy. But one of the things that we had, let me say, for example, we did a Kingande experience, our 5-year anniversary party. I think I showed it to you.
You did.
I thought it was a celebration. But we had so many people that was interested and wanted to work for the company that day. And what I didn't notice was that it was really an attraction of an event that attracted a lot of talent for us. So people wanted to be associated with you. Hey, can we work for your brand? We're editors. You know, we do this. You know, we see what you guys do. Can I come? And people don't know that if you're in business, you know. But the most great thing that you can have in the business is a talent pool and people that have, different skills and people that can bring that and change your business and see things in the way that you could not see. You might be the vision bearer of a brand, but just like Steve Jobs or, Bill Gates, now Microsoft has cloud and all this other stuff and Microsoft Teams. Of course, he couldn't have envisioned that in the mid 80s.
Right.
But that talent that they reinvested in and got, Cornell MBAs and Harvard MBAs. Now, these guys come and innovate in ways that you never thought about that you could. So a lot of people, and I always have this about Africa, most of the people that can help you have not met them yet. And your talent is in the unknown. It's in the X, right? And so sometimes you got to get to just the hustle and the bustle of being, you feel underappreciated. You feel like no one cares. I met a Gaba, going to Rwanda, just that November 2022. And again, we've had a great relationship and we've been able to go further. People that don't know you, just keep doing the right thing, focus on what you should be doing. They will come to you. Water seeks its own level. And that's how I met you. You're here, you didn't meet me complaining or whatever. I was on the path and you were on the path.
That's right.
And hopefully we have a tour coming from Jay to Uganda now.
That's right.
But so be focused on what you're supposed to be doing. That's my mom used to worry about yourself. And I think if we can do that and, you're going to have problems. But again, like Reverend James Cleveland said, I don't feel no ways tired. You got to keep going.
That's right.
And some days is better than others, unfortunately. But this opportunity all through here. So if you can just continue to do that. So any last words?
No, I don't. Do you guys have any last words before we close this?
I've been drinking this liquor. I got to pee. So I got to make quick.
Gabs, do you have anything else?
I mean, back to the original point of the video. Just do your homework. Information is available at your fingertips. It's on your phone. It's on the internet. Everything that you want to do in your life somehow is driven by online access. So if the information is available to you with such ease, just put in the effort to find it, learn about it, and do as much as you can to prepare yourself so that you can avoid unfortunate moments of dissatisfaction like the young lady in the video. Just prepare yourself a little bit more intelligently, and I'm sure what's meant to be will be, but hopefully you'll have an advantage over some people who are less prepared than you.
Yeah. And Jay, do you have?
I was going to say, to piggyback on that, you hear all these different stories, and there's no greater teacher than seeing for yourself. Mm-hmm. And so if you do your homework on the front end, if you prepare yourself, then when you get there, you'll be ready. You'll see for yourself. You can formulate your own opinions. Yeah. Now you know what to expect. You know what not to expect. And then now you can just focus on being a sponge versus being a bubble.
Okay, I like that one.
I like that.
So a sponge absorbs. A bubble pretty much repels. And it's you're inside of that bubble looking outside. Stay away. But when you're a sponge, there's so much that you can absorb. And that's the beauty of being on this continent. And sometimes absorbing the bad, with it too. That changes you. You grow, you learn. And but there's for those who are part of the African diaspora and on the continent, because we've inspired intercontinental travel. We even inspired it here on the continent. For those who are looking, there's nothing better than to see people in their own space and learn from them and hear their accounts of it. And it develops a level of empathy and maturity. And so that's what I encourage everybody to do.
I just want to say one last thing. Please. If I could do something different, I was living in Poland when I first came to Uganda, but if I lived in the States and let's say I would check to Ghana, I would try to get Ghanaian friends. I would reach out to the Ghanaian embassy. That's the closest to you. I would try to get involved in Ghanaian events. And that's what Fanny reached out to a lot of Ugandans living in Los Angeles. And when she came to Uganda, she's able to be here for 10 years because of those things. By the way, that's another person you need to hook you up with too.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So basically, this is the most important thing. If I could do it all over again, not learning all by myself, I would be more concerned about the closest Ugandan embassy it is to me. I would call there. I would ask, what is the best way to connect with Ugandans in the closest city? Mm-hmm. And they should have activities. I'm pretty sure they do. Yeah. I would go to Instagram pages. I would look at associations, and I would try to get involved. Yeah. And before I even come there, and try to get some connections in America, because a lot of Ghanaians or Ugandans or Nigerians in America, and they'll help you. People will help you.
That's right.
And then you will be able to know from there what you need to do, how to do it, then come. And versus just showing up by yourself and then being disappointed. If I could do it all over again, I would work my way through the Ugandan embassies, Europe and America, wherever it's close to me, and try to work with them that way and try to add value for them that way. And then try to then come to the place after having those connections.
Yeah. And speaking of finding friends in the African country, I've had clients. I have a consultation, by the way.
Are you rich now?
English. I have had a client.
English is not giving.
Yeah. I've had a client from New York who just called to talk about the Ugandan culture and the way the people live. I found that was the first time for me, but I guess that helped him in a way make a decision on which country he wanted to go to. So things like that can.
Is he coming?
Well, I hope so. I wish reach out to him afterwards. But like him. Usually each call is different and specific to the other person. But him wanting to know about how people live, I'm just like, why would you want to know that? But then on the other hand, I also understand that he wants to understand the people that he would love to live with in the future. So that makes sense in its own way.
Yeah.
But Jay, where can people find you if they want to reach out to you?
All right, they can
or
find me.
Follow you or something.
Well, they can definitely follow me
Yeah.
at J Cameron Official on Instagram and on YouTube. My channel is Maximum Impact with J Cameron, so you can find me there. Website-wise, you can find me at MaximumImpactTravel.com.
Yeah, perfect. Agaba?
Find me on one of these Maximum Impact tours soon. Right, I will definitely be subscribing and become a customer and a client and hopefully a trusted partner to help facilitate some of the activities that are planned for Uganda in the next coming year. I think this is going to be an amazing thing. Yeah. So you have my commitment on that for sure. Otherwise, you can follow me at Master Gabs on Instagram and on the X, and also subscribe to the Allergic to Average YouTube channel, Allergic #2 Average. We have some pretty dope content on there, and looking forward to continuing to ride this wave of intelligent thought and positive energy that I'm getting from everybody on this set. I think this is an amazing conversation, and I'm happy to be a part of it today.
Oh, well, guys. Yeah. We can end this episode right there.
Yeah.
But O'Shea, where can people find you?
I don't want y'all messaging me for shit. I'm just going to be real. Don't message me. Don't call me. I don't like most of y'all. You already know how it is. You can message the King on the page.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be real. Don't message me.
He says that with love. Guys, you can follow us on our social media pages at King and the Nation on all social media platforms. Do not forget to subscribe, like this video, and hit the bell for notifications. My name is Janita. I'll see you guys next time.